this morning, and Kevin Olenick, who's a blogger and a podcaster. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning.
The tie, is that your idea?
The tie is my idea. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
The only thing you're missing is a bicycle.
And then one of those little top hats,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
You're a blogger, you're a podcaster. Let's
Yeah.
get into the podcast. Explain
Yeah.
that to us.
Well, I started off with most of my conversation is on Facebook and a bit more now on Twitter. But I started with the concept of taking one issue and starting with saying just agree or disagree. Like as an example, bike lanes are important in Calgary, and I have a diverse now of an audience that people would give a different perception no matter where they would be coming from. It gets a little heated on social media, as you guys are probably no doubt aware of whatever topic comes up. So what I developed was sort of an idea of a podcast that gives people sort of a safer space to explain their position where they're not being as attacked or forced on. We usually try to keep it in an hour. This week I've recorded 2. I got one more to record tonight, but we do a sort of a monthly roundtable where we talk about the news of the week or the month. This week we talked about Nenshi winning the World Mayor Award. We talked about the Bell Let's Talk, and we also talked a little bit about Valentine's Day. The other goal with the podcast is also bringing out issues in Calgary that people are not talking too much about. And I recorded a podcast last night with the House of Commons, which is a house in Bowness that supports some of the homeless community here. And it's a great opportunity to talk about like Calgary, things like that. We'll be doing a podcast next week to talk about kids up front, and they're doing a poker tournament on the 23rd. Who, by the way, they're still looking for participants, so if you go and check that out. So it's really the idea is to bring out a fair way for people to express their positions and not feel as attacked by someone that doesn't necessarily know them, and people can respond a bit more.
When I think about Cirque du Soleil, though, Kevin, I mean, they have a massive marketing machine.
Yeah.
You know, when I think about the event that's happening tomorrow at Eau Claire, I look at the marketing comparisons. And here's where I'm going with this, is bringing these to people to know about them. It's difficult for people to find out about them. Like Cirque, everyone's hearing about Cirque. It's got a fantastic history, a fantastic marketing department. But how do we help folks like Kimberly to get her message out, or other lesser known events that are going on?
Well, one of the things that I've learned through my social media skills, if you prefer, is it's about the story. And it's about how do you as an audience member connect with the project, whatever it is. So even with Cirque du Soleil, how do you connect with that as an audience? How do you connect? And I think sometimes our news is moving so quickly, we don't take the time to often sit, even sometimes talk shows and radio shows, they have a little bit of segments and things like that. We don't really get a time to really get to know them. And I think that
Sure.
helps resonate with the audience a little bit more. And I think it gives people the opportunity on the other end to feel like they're sharing their story in a safer manner, that they're not going to be tweeted about or whatever about how they feel about something. Someone is really going to take the time to listen. And as the reputation out there that I've developed is a little bit controversial, that's sort of true, but I also want to really try to develop sort of a common place where people can get together and ideas can be exchanged in a safer manner. So
And also have those opposing
yeah,
discussions.
absolutely. Yeah.
And we're trying to do that here as well, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as well as we're of course, we're finding out about different events that are going on. We're finding out about all three of you.
Yeah.
And I believe as a viewer, when you see these three, you find out more about them, then you become a little bit more engaged with what they are doing and saying, hey, well, that Kevin guy, he is human. That Michel guy, he is human. I want to know more about not only Michel, but now I have more of a passion for what he is all about.
Yeah.
Would that be fair?
Exactly, absolutely. And even like you guys, right? So just each day that you guys are doing this, people are getting to know you a little bit more, and they're connecting with you as an audience as well. So I think that that's really important to me is sort of the connection between each other, not necessarily how. It's easy to find a difference between each other. It's tougher to find the commonality, especially some of the topics I bring on are really sort of an intense, and it's easy to find. There's obvious discrepancies, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's always the case. It's an opportunity for us to look deeper.
And who would have thought that these two have a connection? You know, you're big into cycling, Kimberly, and Michelle is right on board with that as well too. So it furthers your point.
Yeah.
We need to find out more about individuals rather than this is what I've got going on.
Yeah.
right? Cirque has an incredible history, and for the most part, people know about that. But
you know
we
what?
don't know about
It-
you and that,
yeah.
and you putting your love and blood, sweat, and tears into the project. It makes us more engaged with you.
And even listening to him today, he's been really passionate about that and talking about, and I, as a former director, I love the sort of the artistic aspect that you express on that. I think it's beautiful, and it's like, I really want to see that, and I'll notice that little aspect of the show, right?
But what's good with social media is that, you know, and Cirque, although we put like posters and it's still the word to mouth, and
Yeah.
it's still
So
that.
true.
And it's what's going on with Curious is phenomenal because the audience are really owning the show. And what's great that didn't happen a few years ago is that now with the social medias, there's a direct contact between the artists and the audience. And even like our artists in Curious, they do their makeup sometimes, and they do social media, and they post pictures of them doing their makeup. And there's a big exchange now, a contact directly with the artists, and that's super nice. And when you come to see the show, we have like big TV screens, and people can post Twitter things and Facebook, and it's happening there, and you see the comments coming, and it's really nice.
Yeah, and I also, to build on that too, I think one of the things that people forget is that there's a value in the private conversation. And sometimes some things get really intense, but maybe you have a friend or someone that you can have a little bit of a private conversation about some of the topics that I bring up, and you feel safer about that. And I hear those stories all the time. I get those stories of like, hey, you know, we actually sat down and we talked about this in a private conversation, and we really came into some common ground, right? So even bikes, even Cirque du Soleil, right? You're developing, the goal really is to generate a different conversation.
Absolutely.
So your next podcast is coming out.
I have two this out already, and one out. I'm going to post another one, House of Commons, and I'm interviewing a lady that is a Mormon who is dealing with some of the equality issues that they're going on within their church. And I'm also interviewing, as I said, Kips Up Front about their poker tournament next week. Yeah.
And if we want to subscribe to your podcast, what do we do?
Spreaker.com/KEVOLE.
Okay.
And you can also follow me on Twitter at KEVOLE, or just add me as a friend, Kevin.
Okay,
Awesome.
cool.
Perfect.
Yeah.